It could be lease options, subject twos, long-term hold with a traditional mortgage. It could be IRAs or 401ks owning rentals. There's all sorts of variations. And of course, what you're learning at Renatus is how many different acquisition strategies there are, which is so exciting. Oh my gosh. I have so many clients that once they find Renatus, because I try to introduce my clients to Renatus too, they're like, oh my gosh, this is the oasis of finding good real estate sound strategies. So you're in the right spot for that. But I just don't want you to think that I'm saying everybody has to fit into the same mold of single-family home rentals in your backyard. They could be around the country. They could be in a market that's better than the one you live in. They could be near your grandma. They could be where your kids are going to college. I don't know. So just relax. Don't stress out when I say buy rentals. Just realize it's part of the master plan. And as long as you put that karma out there, you put that positive energy that you are going to buy rentals someday, what happens? It starts to happen, right? You start to bump into the right education, the right people, and the right projects. And as you're getting out of debt, you're building cash reserves, you're building your business, you're maintaining your day job, if that's part of the equation, rentals will naturally happen in the right way. So don't overthink it, don't stress out. But here's my mantra. Here is my recommendation that many of you have heard on my radio show, to newsletters, to blog articles for years. Make the goal, here's my challenge, make the goal to buy one rental every year. Just make the goal to buy one rental every year. And as you put that energy out there, it'll start to happen. I want you to look at 50 rentals before you buy one. Don't buy the first thing that comes along. Don't get emotionally attached. As Chris Albin, how many of you are already taking his classes in this essential course. The guy's a genius. I love him. I sit in the back of his class and take notes. He sits in the back of my class and takes notes. We'll go to dinner and we're fighting over who we are going to talk about. Because I'm like, dude, you got to teach me. He's like, no, let's talk taxes. He's so awesome. I'm just like you out there trying to buy rentals. But what Chris Albin will tell you again is you're not buying a house. You're not buying a rental. You're buying numbers. And you're buying numbers that have to make sense on paper. So many clients look at this cute little house. Oh my gosh, that's adorable. I could live there. Let's buy it. No. Run the numbers. Oh, this meth lab, it looks just terrible. I could never. The numbers are great. Okay. So now I know that there can be risk in rental property. I know that it can be stressful, and buying bad rentals, it's going to happen. As you build your portfolio, you're going to make some mistakes. But I want to give you some suggestions. I want to give you some approaches from a tax standpoint and from this experience that I have of consulting so many thousands of clients every year. So please put your guard down and just soak this up. And I challenge you to make that goal. Now, a couple of these guys came and said they had to go to work. And so this crowd over here on the side, don't feel like you're out there, in La La Land. This is wide open for you. You can come sit up here if you want. I don't know if I don't want anybody at home to think everybody's leaving. They're not. We're packed. It's standing room only in the back, so come on up and sit here if you want. All right. Now, all righty. Here's my 4-quadrant analysis. Thank you so much, Christian. So here's something that I'm really committed to, and I've been teaching this little slide for years. And so for some of you that have heard me give these examples, I'm going to use generally the same numbers to make a point, but I want you to memorize this. I really want you to use this little demonstration I do, even if it's the 5th time you've heard me or seen me do it, so that you can pound it out on the hood of your car. You can talk to your partners, your investors, or your lenders, or family members, and teach them this concept. My kids have been watching me present this for years, and my son this year came up and said, Dad, I really want to buy a rental property. I want to, he's going to college, and he's like, I want to buy a rental and rent the rooms to other college kids. And I'm like, yes, give me a hug. I was like, he's seen the light. But I didn't want to tell him to do it. I didn't want to do it for him. I wanted him to catch the vision and go, Dad, help me do this. and it's exciting. And so this year our goal is to help him get into a rental property, and I'm really, really excited about it. So if I could get my kids through college debt-free with a small business and a rental property, oh my gosh. How many of us wish our parents were teaching this when they were their age, right? Oh, just so. Yeah, so you've got such an opportunity here to help your family, whether they're nieces or nephews or grandkids, a brother, a sister, a parent. And you know, I'm going to use this moment to digress to this point. This was on NPR the other day, just another little show they were doing, where they were doing the 60 over and unemployed. That they've got their own little class now, like this label, 60 and over and unemployed. And they were on the show going, what are we going to do? And I can't get a job, and I've been sitting around and unemployed. And I was like, what? And I was just like, I went insane. So I did my own show on it the week later. And I totally twisted it around and was like, oh my gosh, 60 and over, and the sky's the limit. Because this is your opportunity to take that life, all those life lessons and those skill sets that you've learned during your life, and start buying rentals and getting into business rather than feeling you have to work for someone else. Now, it's scary that I have clients that are 60 years old and their savings is gone because they paid for all their kids' colleges. And now they have no retirement. And they're like, I get phone calls and meetings all the time with clients around the country that are like, hey, Mark, we're ready to focus on our retirement. We're in our 50s. And it's scary and it's sad. So you yourself have a chance now to hopefully network and partner and work with others that are desperate for what you're learning. And so this is a really powerful little section that I want to talk about. And that's the 4 benefits of rental property. 4 benefits of rental property. So I'm going to do my best to diagram this with a little 4-quadrant analysis, and I'm going to do my best with my handwriting. Now, those 4 benefits, woo, okay, are first, appreciation, mortgage reduction, and again, I'd like all of you taking notes to write this down, mortgage reductions, tax benefits, and cash flow. All right. Now, let's say you go out and buy a cute little rental for $100 grand. Now, it could be a storage unit, it could be a duplex, it could be a little meth lab, it could be whatever, you know, cute little cash flow meth lab, whatever you want. But you're going to go out and buy this property for $100 grand, purchase price. You're going to put down, let's do a down payment of 10% down. So you're going to be into this $10K, and you're going to have a mortgage of $90. Maybe you do seller financing, subject to, lease option, I don't know.
Come on in, let's grab a seat, let's get the show on the road.
On this. So keep your guard down. Some of you are like,
all right.
I don't own my own home yet. What are you talking about?
Well, welcome. You're probably like, this is a small room. Why does this guy have a microphone? Especially when he's got the type of voice that he has, which is probably carries okay. See that little window back there? I guess I'm being recorded for posterity's sake. And actually, this is connected to that, so that's why I'm speaking into this. So if it seems a little strange that we're in a small room with a microphone, it is strange that we're in a small room with a microphone, but there's a reason. It's. I can't hear you. Yeah. Okay. My name's Kevin Sparks, and I'm actually one of the co-founders of Positive Impact Real Estate Investors Group. Who we are is we're a group of advanced, intermediate, and beginning investors, and what we do is we teach, train, and support each other in reaching our financial goals as investors and entrepreneurs, okay? And the reason I'm up here, personally, why I was asked to be up here tonight, is because to share with you kind of a vision of what's going on. I'm not going to be doing a lot of presenting tonight. I'm just going to talk for a couple minutes here. But I want to share with you what we're doing and the importance of what we're doing and why it's important for you, okay? You guys indulge me in that for just a few minutes? Mm-hmm. One of the things, my wife, this is my wife Kirsten. She's the gal back there waving her hand. So Kirsten and I, and it's funny that we'd be the ones in the front of the room here in Murrieta because we actually just moved here from Phoenix December 30th. And actually, we don't even live in Murrieta either. we actually live in over in Encinitas right now. So, but we moved out here, became empty nesters a little bit over a year ago. And who's been to Phoenix?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Why would we want to be here? It's hot, right? It's a little hot here too right now, isn't it?
A little bit warm.
Not compared to Phoenix, yes, but it's a little warmer here than it is in North San Diego County. And we actually set the goal a few years ago, actually a little bit over 2 years ago, that when our business in Phoenix would run itself with or without us, what would we want to go do when we had that actual freedom to do that? And so we made the choice to move out here because it's springtime all the time, at least in certain parts of over here. And that was a goal of ours at one point. But the more reason that we're actually here, I'm here in the front of the room talking to you for a minute, is because what we did over in Phoenix to put our real estate investing team on autopilot so that we actually could have the freedom to kind of come do what we wanted to do. Because the show goes on with or without us over there, and I only have to get on the phone with people for an hour or two a week just to kind of check up and see what's going on and see how much more is going on, which is really cool. But what we did is, back in October of 2015, myself and a few other partners who had, I became full-time entrepreneur investor early '06. So it hasn't been forever. I know some of you in the room probably have more experience than I do, but it wasn't 2 weeks ago either, right? So there is a little bit of time and experience under my belt right now. And I came together with a partner, his name's John, who has 27 years full-time experience as a real estate investor, okay? Also, another partner over there, Chris, with 36 years experience, and then another half a dozen investors that had between 5 and 20 years experience, okay? All successfully doing their thing as real estate investors. And we collectively came together as a mastermind, and what I mean by that, has anybody ever read a book called Think and Grow Rich? Okay? If you haven't read that book, I recommend it. It's a great book. It was written a long time ago. But this book was written by a gentleman who at the time interviewed over 500 people that were multimillionaires, and this was back in the early 1900s. By the way, was $1 million kind of a lot of money back in those days? Yeah. Right? So, I mean, he interviewed people like Andrew Carnegie, right? Matter of fact, that's kind of the person who gave him the task to go interview all these other people. But what they found out and what he found out is a lot of what they did together amongst themselves is they put together masterminds of successful people, sometimes in their own profession, sometimes in other professions. So we put together a mastermind out in Phoenix. This is about 3 years ago, of successful real estate investors, and there were about a dozen of us. And we had an idea. And we kind of wanted to cover, we didn't all have the same specialties and skill sets and experiences, although some of us had total crossovers with other people. But we wanted to make sure within this mastermind of real estate investors that we covered everything from dirt to skyscrapers and everything in between. That way, if it was related to real estate investing, even on the side of notes and paper and things like that, we wanted to make sure that as far as the real estate investing world was, we could cover anything and everything amongst ourselves. We'd get together once or twice a month for an hour or two to come together and mastermind, share ideas and things. And what happened from this is we ended up having a conversation, not like every single week about this, but one week the conversation came up about new people who would like to become real estate investors. And the conversation essentially went something like this. You know what? How did you get your start? And this is us asking each other, right? So the question was, how did we get our start? How effective was that? And if we were to do it over again, how would we like to get our start? Would you want to know that from somebody who's already successful? Have you ever wanted to ask somebody that if you had to start over today, what would you want to do? And how would you want to do it? I won't go into all the detail of that. Let's say we had varied experiences. Some of us had gone to seminars. Matter of fact, the one guy with 36 years experience back in the day, he bought the Carlton Sheets course. Some of you, if you're old enough, you might remember those ads, okay? Another one, my partner John, he went through a Robert Allen thing. I think Robert Allen's still doing stuff today, right? That they got their start, but when you ask them about how successful were you going through those programs, they'll say that it wasn't the program that got me necessarily launched. I didn't necessarily learn enough from that or get enough help from that to get me going. What got me going was the money I put into that. Because I put down a significant financial commitment into learning how to do something, and even though it didn't work for me, I wasn't going to quit. Has anybody ever felt that way? Like I put something into this thing, and like come heck or high water, I'm going to make it work. The bummer is, in real life, sometimes it doesn't, because you're still missing too many components to make that work, right? What we found out amongst ourselves, talking about this kind of scenario for those that went through that scenario, is normally there were a lot of cuts, bumps, and bruises along the way, a lot of pain and heartache in the sense of money lost, time lost, deals gone wrong. And so we were highly qualified to have that conversation. How would we like it to be different if we had gotten started over again? And what we realized was this. There's a lot of people out in the world that would like to be real estate investors, and the only thing that they're lacking really, I mean, you're lacking a few things, right? You're lacking how to do it, meaning the knowledge of how to do it. But is that available?
Yes.
Pretty much. I mean, it is available, right? The other thing that we're lacking sometimes is time, or at least we think so. The other thing we're lacking sometimes is money or credit or both, or we think so. But the bottom line is, here's why most people don't get the job done. Fear. Would you agree with me on that? If we're purely honest with ourselves. What creates fear? It creates lack in those areas, meaning if we lack in those areas, is that going to create fear?
Yes.
Yeah. But if we have knowledge, time, money, and credit, could we still be afraid? Why?
Fear of failure.
Fear of failure. Anybody into sports? Okay. I know Rick and I, we were talking that Rick's into like every sport there is, right? Anybody, I haven't had a lot of time to do it, but I kind of watch a little bit. Does anybody know that the like NBA playoffs are going on right now? Right? In the NBA playoffs, so I'm going to use that as an example. I mean, if the basketball's not your thing, just catch on to the example here for a moment, okay? Because you'll understand when I get done with this. By the way, is there anybody in the room that absolutely knows that you absolutely suck at basketball? Like who you absolutely suck at basketball? All right. Who's willing to be picked on for about 3 minutes?
Nope.
Come on up for a moment then. Yep, come on up. And I don't know if you saw me do, a couple people on our team have seen me do this, so if you've seen me do this, you know, zip it for a minute, okay? And if you, I don't remember if you've seen me do this or not. Okay. But most, that's true. Okay. So she absolutely, do you believe her? She actually looks like she could have been good at basketball, right?
Volleyball.
Okay. So she sucks at basketball. That's a given. We believe her. She sucks at basketball. Here's a scenario for you. You have to go play a basketball game. Just, this part's not the choice. Do we have things happen in our life that really aren't a choice sometimes?
Yeah.
Like we just have to deal with it? We do, right? And it's not always like, well, do I get, no, like you're dealing with it. So here's what you're dealing with. It's not a choice here. You get to play in a basketball game, all right? And you have to play basketball in 2 weeks from now. You get to play this game. Let me tell you who you're playing, okay? What's been going on behind the scenes over the last 3 months is there's been a tournament going on of all the high schools in the United States of America, okay? And what they've been doing is all the high school teams have been playing each other, and as they play each other and go through this process, as they lose a game, they're out, but the team that wins keeps going. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And this literally started with thousands of teams playing each other. And now we've come to the point where they took the East Coast and the West Coast, and they went and played each other to see who would win. And now we have our all-star team for the United States of America of high school basketball players. Okay? By the way, how many of you are aware, living in California, you might be, that Kobe Bryant went into the NBA out of high school? Mm-hmm. Okay. So could high school basketball players be pretty good?
Yes.
How many of you are aware that LeBron James went from high school into professional? Again, my question, could high school basketball players be pretty good? That could be kind of scary, right? Now, granted, the Kobe Bryant that grew in through the NBA was better years later than he was the first year out of high school. True or true?
Yeah.
Has LeBron James become better from the first year out of high school? But were they still formidable players right out of high school? Absolutely. Here's the scenario. You get to play against the top high school basketball team in the country that's been playing together for a while. And they won out of every basketball team in the entire country. And there's a wager on this. And again, you don't get to choose in this wager if you get to participate or not. The wager's already been set. But here's the wager. Everything you own is on the line. Everything. You lose, it all goes away. You win, you get 10 times everything you got. Okay? You've got 2 weeks before you play this game, and guess what? You have to put the team together. You have to play, and you only get 5 players. So that top team gets 5 of their top players, and you get 5 players. There's no substitutes. 5 players, you all play, and where you get to find these 5 players from is anybody that's in your cell phone or connected with you personally on Facebook that you know by first name and they know you, and if you called them, they would know who you are. That's who you get to choose your other 4 players from. And those other 4 players have to agree with you to the same wager. So you got to go find 4 players that will play together with you against the top high school team in the country out of your sphere of influence. They have to be willing to put it all on the line like you do. They win the same amount if you win. How confident are you that you're going to get to keep your stuff? Okay. Audience, you get to bet on this game. But you don't have to. You just get to if you want to. If you bet on her and they win, you get 10 times the money. If you bet on the other team and they win, you get your money back plus 1%. Which team are you going to bet on based on what I just told you?
Yeah, the high school teams.
Really? You only get 1%. Why are you going to, William, which team would you bet on?
1%.
Why?
Compounding.
Well, not compounding. Would it be because you don't think she's going to win?
No.
Right?
Well, probably.
Probably, because she has to go into her own database of who she knows, what she knows, put this team together, get them to cooperate, be willing to put it all on the line just like her. And you've got 2 weeks to get the job done, too. All right. Scenario's different now. Okay? I'm going to change the rules of the scenario. You get to stay here. Okay. Oh. Okay. So I'm a little warm. Okay. So scenario's different now. I get to put the 4 people together for her. I happen to be the commissioner of the NBA. I get to pick anybody I want. And these people, based on that relationship and their commitment, have to play on her team. So your team consists of you, LeBron James, Kevin Durant, James Harden, Steph Curry.
My mom doesn't know, but they're pretty good.
Audience, you can bet on this game now. Would you get 10 times your bet if you bet on her team and they win. You get 1% of your bet if you bet on the other team and they win. What team are you going to bet on now?
Her team.
But why? She said she sucks at basketball.
She got a good team.
Hold on. What?
Because she has professionals. Because she has professionals.
You mean she gets to play with people that have played a lot of basketball?
Absolutely.
You mean she gets to play with people that when they typically play in a game, they tend to like win and dominate other people?
Yeah, absolutely.
She actually gets to play with the players that are the most likely to be in the NBA Finals. Now, granted, could be a little different. Depends. The Celtics could surprise, right? But chances are, at least on the Warriors, either Harden's going to be there or Durant and Curry are going to be in there, right? So she gets the top NBA players on her team, even though it's her plus those 4. The other team just gets to be the top high school team. They could even have a LeBron James on that team, but it's the LeBron James that came out of high school, not the LeBron James that has now played for 14 years or whatever it's been, right? Okay, thank you. Give her a big hand. The reason I share that with you is I want to introduce you to an all-star possibility for you that would take that fear of participating and being a real estate investor and put it to a new level. Remember when I talked about that mastermind team that we had in Phoenix that we put together? That was an all-star team. I'm not saying it's all, to quite to that level, but these are all people that have been investing anywhere from 5 to 36 years. It's what they do full-time, and it's what they make a lot of money at doing. What we did is we took a group of people, and we put a team together starting October of 2015. But last year, about this time, we took 35 brand new people who had never invested in real estate before and said, would you like to participate in a mastermind that we're putting together to help new people get off the ground and get their first deals going? We asked them to have certain commitment levels and things like that, but here's what happened. These were 35 brand new people who had never invested in real estate before, but they were being guided and directed by my partner, John, with 27 years full-time experience. And they were being guided and directed by Daniel and Lisa, who had actually, in the last 18 months, had completed 41 wholesale deals and done 3 fix and flips. What those 35 people accomplished collectively, again, all of who'd never invested in real estate before, is in a period of 5 months, they completed 44 deals. And amongst themselves in their resources had actually raised over $4 million in gap funds. Why did that work? Because we had an all-star team leading that group of people to do this. I want to introduce you to a couple all-stars that we have right here. We don't have all of our all-star team here with us tonight, but we do have our all-star team put together here that combines people within San Diego County, right here in Inland Empire, and also over in Orange County. But I'd like Darren to come up for a moment and Kendall to come up for a moment because they are part of the contingency that's going to be leading the mastermind, part of this all-star team that's going to help new people who want to be real estate investors if this is really what you really want to do. Share how you got started in real estate and a little bit about yourself and what you've done.
Sure. Just wondering, we all get the blue shirt memo?
I was thinking the same thing. They're all checks, jeans, blue shirts. I know, isn't that awesome? So, anyway, my name's Darren. I got started in real estate back in 2008. That doesn't mean I started doing real estate then, but I started learning about it because there was a complete shift in the economy and I needed to do something new, right? I don't know if any of you else felt that out there. But I've been involved as a full-time investor since 2009, and I've done a couple of hundred flips and some buy and holds and land development and some other stuff in real estate, generating now right over $3 million in net profits for myself and my investors. And I did all of that because I got invited to participate in a system that taught me how to take, first step, second step, third step, and how to make this all happen. I started out literally almost in these exact same chairs. I mean, almost. In an office very similar to this back in 2008. And this is what I do now. I really enjoy the ability to teach people on how to decide if a deal is a good deal or not when it comes to fixing and flipping a house. That's where most of my experience has been made, is in fixing and flipping houses. especially houses that are purchased at the trust deed auction. I don't know if you guys have ever watched those or seen them or been to them. They have them right here in Corona for Riverside County, and sometimes they're exciting, most of the time they're boring. But they're super exciting when you actually buy a house that you haven't seen the inside of. So that always was a real treat. But that's who I am, and that's what I'm doing now.
All right, cool. Well, I just need to set the record straight. He just lied to you. He says it's always a real treat when you don't know what's inside. It's not always a real treat. Remember the one that had a four-wheeler sitting in the front room?
Well, that one or the one that was missing the kitchen.
What? Yeah. I bought both of those ones. Those are the ones that I observed and said, yeah, this is a great buy.
No, he said that's the worst.
But yeah, pretty awesome. So yeah, I've been doing this now for 14 years. I've flipped hundreds of houses, millions of dollars, and I love what I do. You know, and it's not, and what I do is not just flipping houses. That's fun. It's really cool. But what I do is I empower other people to learn how to do the same thing. That is so much more rewarding than doing paint, flooring, landscaping, things like that for the neighborhood, right? Like, it's amazing. For me, it's watching people grow in the process. So both of them are amazing. Both of them make you great income. And we have the opportunity of being able to help oversee this mastermind. I mean, and we're just two of the many people that are going to oversee that. We might have a new guest. I got to reach out to him, so I won't announce that yet. But it's going to happen.
Coach G
Yeah.
might be participating in
Yeah, we might just have to get Coach Gavin on board with us, too. So that would be pretty amazing, yeah? Those of you who know Coach Gavin, wouldn't that be awesome? So that'll be fun. So anyway, we won't go down that path, but those of us that are going to oversee the mastermind collectively, we've done thousands of deals. You're in good hands. When you come to the mastermind, we're not going to do your work for you. I don't do that. He doesn't do that. Well, he might show up to demo day. It's very stress relieving for him. But it's amazing. But I love helping other people learn how to do what we do. That's where my passions lie, giving people the opportunity to springboard their business. And so you guys, you're in the right place. Oh, you want to know how many I've done with no money or no credit? Every time we're going to hand him the mic, he's going to ask me a question. All of the deals I've done, I've not used any of my money or any of my credit. You see, one of my unique skill sets is I know how to raise capital. And I'm going to teach you how to raise capital when you become part of the community. When you become one of our students, you have an opportunity to come in and we'll teach you how to raise money. I've raised over $15 million specifically from people's retirement accounts, and they were able to utilize that money with no tax, no penalty. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
All right, big hand for these two. So the reason I'm up here, these two obviously have been doing what they've been doing for a while now. It's not like I showed up and they started doing something, right? What happened is my particular skill set, knack that I have, and I don't know where it comes from exactly. I have kind of this intuitive way of putting community together and seeing what's going on with people's strengths and even weaknesses and kind of saying, okay, let's do this, shift here, 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 and then all of a sudden, I say all of a sudden, sounds easy, right? It's not all of a sudden. All of a sudden. But when all is said and done, we have it systematized to where I like to make it so that anybody could do it. We systematize the process of taking successful investors in Phoenix and actually having them work together with people that were new and then have positive outcomes financially for these people. Does that make sense? So just because you have a successful investor working together with somebody that doesn't know what they're doing does not mean there's going to be a positive outcome. That's why it's like, well, couldn't they just go do what they do? Yes, they can. They know what they know how to do, but it's the process of building this up and putting it together. So that's the uniqueness that I kind of bring to what's going on here and why they actually asked me to help share and why I'm at the front tonight. I'm not going to give the presentation, though, either. Part of my skill set is delegation. And these guys laugh at me because they're like, you delegate like practically everything, don't you? I go, uh-huh. Did I say that we were able to leave Phoenix and come here and it still runs? It wouldn't have done that if I hadn't become good at getting people, and I say getting them to, they're doing what they want to do, right? I'm not like their boss or anything like that. They're doing what they're good at. They fit the roles they want to fit. They move up and grow and become more of what they want to become as entrepreneurs and investors. But now I've got people taking on different roles, and that team over there, FYI for you, exceeds 200 people. So in a period of October 2015 to now, it exceeds 200 people. And it all grew word of mouth. So if we were sucking at what we were doing, would anybody actually tell somebody to come check out what we're up to? Probably not. If the mastermind concept wasn't working for us over there that we put together, helping other people do deals, would it be likely that they would actually be excited about telling anybody else about what we're up to if it wasn't working for them? No, it wouldn't. So what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to share a few things, but I'm going to let another one of my partners do most of the sharing. He actually did a presentation last year in about May or June that we used to do, and a lot of people do this live. I used to do this live myself too, but after I saw him doing that, I'm like, you did a good job. You kept it short. Do you guys like short and sweet? Right? I like short and sweet a little. Well, they're going to laugh. No, you don't, Kevin. You talk too much. But I like short and sweet when it comes to certain things. And what normally was an hour and 15-minute plus presentation got whittled down to under 40 minutes. You guys like that idea? Yep. But it hit all the high points that were important to what we needed to talk about. So I'm going to have my buddy John from Utah actually share that with you in a few minutes. But before we do that, you probably will figure out the more you hang out with us and get to know us, we like to have fun. Our kind of motto about this thing is if we ain't having fun doing it, then why are we doing it? Some people go, make money, that's why. Yes, but you can make money and have fun at the same time. But if you're making money and you're miserable, what's the point? No. If you're having fun and making no money, that's called a party, but that's not a business. Yep. Some people want to party all the time. I will tell you right now, that's one of the things that I kind of came here with is saying, look, party all the time is cool, but you will party all the time when you can afford to party all the time. We're going to make sure that you can afford to party all the time. Then we'll go party all the time. Okay? I want to share something with you just for fun to be a little bit light at the very beginning here, and then we'll hop into the presentation. Then Kendall will come back up and share some stuff that's going to, I'll repeat what one of our friends say all the time, it's going to blow your mind. But before we do this, let's see if you guys can relate to this. That up there to be a little bit funny. I might have depressed some of you because it maybe happened, right? Or you know someone it happened to, right? I put this up here because real estate investing, if I had 100 people in here, and actually tonight there might be someone in here that this is what they're thinking. The reason you have an interest in real estate investing for some people, if I had 100 people in here, about 3 or 4 would say this is the reason, because I love houses. Meaning I go in them, I walk in them, I watch every show that's out there. I go into open houses just because. I walk new builds and see how they did just because. I can't get enough of being around houses. And even if I wasn't being paid necessarily to do it, I would want to be around it because I love houses. Because houses are just awesome. Anybody like that in the room tonight? Okay. There's a few. Typically not a lot of us, though. Most of us, why are we here? Because that happened, or we would choose to rather not have that happen, right? And not just from a retirement account standpoint and a savings account or whatever we're trying to do to take care of ourselves financially, but some of us just don't make enough money where we're at to live the life we want to live, right? Or some of us have a situation or maybe a boss or a supervisor or somebody that we're just like, right? I see somebody laughing, so that's probably true for them. There's different reasons, but most of the time when we think about real estate investing, we didn't come to the thought that real estate investing is what we want to do, because when we were growing up little kids out on the playground, we were out there playing real estate investor. Were you out with your friends on the playground chasing each other around, say, playing real estate investor, and then, hey, when I grow up, what do you want to be when you grow up? Because they all ask Johnny and Susie, right? What do you want to be when you grow up? How many of us were like, real estate investor? When I grow up, I would be a suit. We want a cape, right? It's REI. And we're running around. Who are you? I'm REI guy. What's that? I'm a real estate investor, and I'm a superhero, right? We didn't do that. We only came upon real estate investing as a good idea later in life, right? And then for most of us, it became a good idea way long time before we got around to doing it. I'll be honest, it became a good idea for me in about 1996. That was when I came across a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Anybody ever read that book? That woke me up to the idea. But when did I say I became a full-time entrepreneur investor? 2006. So was there a gap in there? Right? There was a gap. Knew it was a good idea for a long time before I got around to doing it. Would anybody else be willing to admit that that's the case for you? Maybe you still haven't gotten around to doing it, right? That's okay. Because when would now be the right time? Right? When would now be the right time? And what I want to demonstrate for you and what you're going to see tonight is this, and as you get to know more of us and spend time with us, if you can do it with people that do it all the time, that are very good at it, that are right here with you collectively in your backyard, willing to spend time with you every single week, would that be a good way to go about getting the job done finally? Right? That's what we put together for you. So I'm going to have my buddy John come up here right now. And after John does his thing, Kendall's going to come back up here. And like I said, he's going to share something with you that's going to blow your mind. Feel free to take notes. And also feel free to use your cell phone to take pictures of slides. Have you ever tried to take notes when somebody's giving a presentation and you're like, and then they change the slide on you? If you see something you really like, take a picture. And what's going on? It's going, but we do not have sound. Try it again.
John O'Neill, and I'm a real estate investor, entrepreneur based here in Salt Lake City, Utah. I'd like to welcome you to the 4 pillars of epic wealth creation, how to begin to build wealth into your life through taxes, banking, real estate, and business. We're going to go through some fantastic information, and I can't wait to show you what we have to do. So make sure you get a pen and paper out, take some notes, write some of these things down on 2 basic concepts that we're going to cover. We're going to cover how to keep more cash flow in your life and how to build cash flow through real estate and business. And so let's just jump right into it. I'm excited to make this happen. This is me. I'm John O'Neill. I'm based here in Salt Lake. Like I said, it's my wife, Christina. I've been investing now for only about 5 years in my own real estate for all of my life. I've been investing in real estate, and so have you. It just might not be real estate you own. But I started to learn how to flip houses, gain rentals, do creative acquisitions, raise money for purchasing real estate through self-directed retirement accounts about 5 years ago. I've bought over 19 properties. I've flipped 12 of them. I've averaged a net profit of almost 40,000 each, which is about what I used to make swinging a hammer for a living as a contractor. I started in construction trades when I was 13. I built up my business, and that was fantastic for a while. And then the crash happened. And then we also experienced some major medical setbacks as a family. And we found ourselves broke, living out of my sister-in-law's basement when about 6 years ago now, with 8 suitcases to our name. And so I had to restart. I was roofing people's homes for 12 bucks an hour. And when I began to learn about real estate was through the system I'm about to show you right now. I've been able to, like I said, acquire a lot. I now have a passive income of almost $30,000 a month. I'm 34 years old, based here in Salt Lake. And the best thing about that is I've helped a lot of other people learn how to gain access to systems that produce revenue into their life. And so that's what I'm here to share with you. Not just my journey, but how I've accomplished what I have through these concepts. Here's some of what I've been able to do with it. These are some of the houses I've been able to acquire. The very first deal I ever did was a short sale. I didn't even know what that meant. And it was negotiating with the bank to get the property short of what was owed on it. And I got it for 78 grand. I funded that house with a self-directed retirement account from a remodeling client of mine. I gave him a 12% return on his investment and secured that in first lien position on the house. And then I sold the house for about 140 and netted 37 grand. He made 5,600 tax free, and I was off and running. That's how I also did my next roughly 4 deals, was through those types of capital, other people's money. And then I've learned some creative strategies that I want to share with you, like the one in the corner right there, which was one of the best that I've done, where I was actually able to net a check of over 82 grand on that house. That was a good one. It was a good day. It's twice what I used to make in a year. And that was through a for sale by owner that I got that home here in Utah in Sugar House. I negotiated seller financing on that. The one down there in the corner, this is the check I made on that one. I subdivided the land, sold the lot next door, and made about 92,000 in a day on that one. And the last one in the bottom left is a house I did in Tooele, where the lady was actually behind on her mortgage. I caught her up and I stepped into her home subject to the existing loan that she had. And it's one of my favorite strategies. It's called subject to. Write that down. We'll talk about that a little bit, how you can step into an existing person's financing or mortgage and take over their payments and own the house and end up being able to leverage that home for rentals or a fix and flip. So right there, that's around $220,000 in net income I've made just this last year. And those are some of the properties I've been able to do. Like I said, though, I haven't been doing it forever. And if you want to learn to do real estate investment like that, you've got to invest first here. You've got to gain some knowledge. And so what you are about to learn is, first of all, how to keep more cash flow in your life through taxes and interest, how to recover it. And then secondly, how to build it by learning to find all the money you need to invest in real estate, regardless of where your credit is right now, and being able to use a fantastic velocity banking strategy that we teach that helps people to do it. So I hope you're ready. Hope you're buckled up. And if you are, do this for me wherever you're at. If you're ready, say ready. Okay, I'm just going to assume that you said that because we're going to dive right into it. Okay, cool. So the first pillar is taxes. The reason we talk about taxes first is it's the first and largest expense in your life. More than food and clothing and shelter and entertainment, the rest of your life you will pay in taxes. The saying goes, death and taxes. So let's talk about it for a second. It's a really important pillar of understanding how to build wealth. How do you keep more in your own life and stop paying so much in taxes? Well, the first and number one rule is to be a business owner, right? Don't just be an employee, because you don't have choices on how you take in your income. And people pay a lot more in taxes on income that they take in that is earned income than they take in on income that they take in through passive real estate strategies and business. So we're going to dive into that and talk about that. The second pillar we're going to talk about, a pillar of building wealth. And when I talk about wealth, by the way, I'm not just speaking about wealth of money. I'm not just talking about how much money you have in your bank account. I'm talking about wealth of time. I'm talking about wealth of lifestyle, wealth of relationship, wealth of network, talking about how do you design your life so that you control it. Well, first, learn to recover cash through paying less in taxes by being a business owner and real estate investor, accessing over 400 tax deductions instead of 15. And secondly, learn how to stop paying so much interest on the loans in your life, on your student loan, your car loan, and your mortgage loan. Literally a strategy that will show you mathematically how to pay those loans off in 1/10 of the time by using money differently. So I'm going to dive into that. And then real estate. So you're all investing in real estate. I guarantee it. I promise it. No doubt about it. It might just not be real estate you own. I never owned or bought a house before I was 28 years old. My financial philosophy growing up was to work hard and save money. And that's all I knew. That's what I was taught. And that led me to being totally broke at the age of 28, never buying a home. I've now bought a lot more because I learned a new financial philosophy, and it was around real estate and business. It was how to learn to leverage something else besides my time, learn to leverage other people's money, other people's credit, other people's energy, and be able to put that together so that I could, now I have passive assets that put money into my life, whether I'm working for them or not. I get paid when I sleep, and I love teaching people how to do that. So that's why you're here, hopefully. Write this down as one of the first things to put down. If you want to increase your money, increase the value you bring for it. See, money is just a receipt for value that you bring. And so the value I used to bring was I swung a hammer. I could build you a house, and I had to trade my time to do that. And now I've increased my value, and I bring it to the marketplace and teach other people how. And even though I don't have a college degree, it totally works. So I've got a couple people joining. I'm glad you guys are here. I'm going to make sure that we keep this flowing really good, and let's jump into it. Welcome, 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 welcome. Taxes, banking, real estate, business. Okay, here's the problem. This is a problem, and if you don't plan, then this is where you end up. People don't plan to fail, they fail to plan. The average 65-year-old has less than $27,000 in their retirement account. People that build up nest eggs, they run out of eggs. But people that buy chickens will give them an egg every day. What do I mean by that? The 40-40-40 plan is broken. It's work from the age of 25 to 65, and you used to get a pension, but you don't anymore. You fight traffic, you have a boss, you don't have control of your life. If you're in that place, then we have a better plan for you. We lay it out through what we do and how we do it. Here is the basic understanding of how you can make income. Be an employee, you can trade your time for dollars. You can be a small business person, and you are somebody that gets leveraged to make that money. You can be a business owner and have a franchise system that makes you money, or you can be an investor, make your money work for you. As an employee, you only have about 15 deductions. As a self-employed individual, you understand that as a small business owner, the minute you remove yourself from the business, it's basically over. When I was a remodeling contractor, as soon as my son was in the hospital, I wasn't there with him. The money wasn't coming in like it was previous to that, right? We'll get more into detail on some of that here in a second. But what I want to show you is a business system that has put over $1.4 million into my life in the last 3.5 years, and how I've learned to use my own funds as well as other investors' funds to leverage more into real estate and be able to do that. So we're going to jump right into that, and it's going to be fantastic. So here's one of the first things you need to know. You're welcome to take screenshots of this stuff. An income statement and a balance sheet is at the basic understanding of cash flow. So cash flow is simple. You either have a poor way of handling cash flow, which is just you make it and you spend it. That is a poor cash flow. You get cash and it flows out. Simple as that. The next way is a middle class thinking around cash flow, which is to make money, then buy something on credit that's shiny or nice or something that you want. It creates an expense in your life and then you pay for it. The last way of cash flow is a wealthy way to address cash flow, which is to make money, buy an asset which puts more money into your pocket, and then you get to then pay for your expenses. So literally, there's nothing wrong with having the nice car, the Porsche, whatever it is that you desire. It's to have the apartment building or the rentals first that pay for those things. The wealthy have been doing that for years, and they leave clues. If you want to get somewhere in life, simply find someone that is where you want to be and learn from them, right? Because the day you stop learning is the day that you die. So if the wealthy 1% in this country have mainly built their wealth through business and real estate, you should give it a shot. Simple as that, okay? You can do it other ways, but the best way is that big green chart right there. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna teach you how to take a problem and bring a solution to it, because that's the number one thing you need to do as an entrepreneur and a real estate investor, be a problem solver. So I'm gonna solve the problem of this be in your life. By the end of this webinar, it will look a lot more like this if you listen to some of the things that I teach, right? Very simply, how to keep more because of tax and interest strategies. So the first thing you need to know to keep more of the money you pay in taxes is, how are you making that money? If you're making it as an employee and that is your only designation, then you have no choice. You are in a 30% income bracket where they're taking the tax out of your check before it even gets to you. Have you ever noticed when you work that hour at the job and you risk that hour of time, your reward is a paycheck, but you don't even get the full paycheck. They take something out of it before you even get access to it. And then you pay for all of your stuff like I used to in after-tax dollars, right? I have a cell phone, I have children, I have cars, I have all those types of things. I pay for all of them through my business. That's what a business owner does. And if you want to be a business owner, all you've got to do to start a business is simply become startup mode, right? So you can say after me right now, if you want to start a business, literally say after me, I'm a business owner. That's all it takes. Start keeping track of the expenses of your business. So 54 cents a mile for every mile that you drive. If you have a cell phone, if you have a computer, if you have a small home office. I happen to have children. I pay my children through my business. You can pay your kids up to $6,300 a year with no W-2 or 1099 issued to them, and you can write that off as a business expense. I'm a family man. I live here in Salt Lake. I love my family. It's why I do what I do. But we don't take vacations in the O'Neill family. We take business trips, right? And they happen to be to great places like Cancun, Mexico, and Hawaii. And we have a lifestyle that's very different than others simply because I get to pay for all those things as a business expense rather than out of what's left over. And I pay income taxes on what's left over. Now, property taxes I pay a lot of, and I agree that you should pay property taxes. They go to fund schools and police and fire and bridges and infrastructure. But income taxes, they don't pay for a whole lot in our society. I don't think the government's doing a great job with them. So I choose to keep as much of that in my life as possible and give back. So you can pay taxes on 20% that's left over, or 6%. If you want to become a business owner, you're going to open up a 30% pay raise to yourself just simply by tax deductions right there. The second strategy we cover on keeping and recovering cash flow is velocity banking. This one will blow your mind. You've never seen this before, so pay attention. All right. The first thing I want to lay out is that the average household around the country makes about $5,000 a month. You might make more, you might make less, but we're just going to base what you do with that money. What is your cash flow and how you treat that money to see how you can recover more cash flow and use that to pay down your debt quickly. Here's what I want you to write down around this concept. You ready for it? Write this down. This is super important. If there's only one concept you take from me, it's this one right here. The wealthy use credit as leverage. We learn to leverage credit rather than our own time to acquire more. So we use credit as leverage, and then we use cash as velocity to pay that credit down. So let me show you what I mean by that. So the first thing is, let's lay out the basic family. They make $5,000 and they put it in their checking and savings account. Why do we put it in a checking and savings account? Because that's what the bank told us to do. Who do you think that benefits the most? You or the bank? Probably the bank. That's where we learn about banking, is from them. And I guarantee you their buildings are bigger than yours. So they want you to put it in checking and savings, because when you put it into savings, they go get like $11 more from the Federal Reserve for every dollar you put in savings. And they loan it back to you at 6%, even though they're giving you 1% in your savings account, which doesn't even keep up with inflation. It's insane. So take the 5, here's what you do with it. You put it in the checking account and you pay for the mortgage. You put it in the checking account and you pay for the cars. You put it in the checking account and you pay for your, your emergency credit card over here that you ran up on credit because you had an emergency, right? So then you've got another $600 that goes to, $1,200 that pays for gas, groceries, utilities, and all that stuff. And then whether or not you understand it, you are saving, and it might be in a savings account. It might be in a 401k, which averages a 3% rate of return if you don't even count the fees. 401ks are a joke. Or you might be saving it by giving it to the government and they give it back to you in the form of a refund in February after you gave them a interest-free loan for a year. So one way or the other, you're putting that money aside. And so I'm going to show you the biggest problem with that is your cash flow is zero. Zero cash flow, that's the problem. And that is a financial model that is not worth investing in. Let's fix it. So the way to fix this model, this is a problem. Let's talk about fixing it in your life right now. The first thing that you need to understand about a line and a loan is that they're different. They're both bank products, but they're different in the way they are treated. So a loan is something that has a payment that goes into it, and it locks that payment up, and you cannot re-access that payment unless you sell that house or sell that car or refinance it. That's the only way you can access that payment. It is goes in and you can't get it back. A line, however, the minute you make a payment on a line of credit, whether it be a credit card, whether it be a home equity line of credit, business line of credit, you can access that payment immediately, and you can swipe that card or that line to buy the things that you need in your life. So it allows you access to it, which is incredibly important. The second biggest thing that is a difference is that with loans, loans are amortized and they have a schedule of payment. And that payment every month is the same. It says you're going to pay this much in interest and this much in principal reduction. And then next month, you're going to pay this much in interest and this much in principal reduction. And it goes down on a schedule, on a car loan schedule of 6 years, on a student loan schedule of 40 years, on a mortgage schedule of 30 years. That's the schedule, and it doesn't change. Okay. Lines change every day when a payment is made because it's based on daily simple interest. The minute you make a payment on a line, it reduces your balance and you pay less in interest. Interest is the second biggest cost in your life, and here's why. I'm going to show you right now. I'm going to give you the option. If I were to loan you 10 grand, would you want to pay me 21% or would you want to pay me 6%? It's up to you. I'll let you choose. Choose quickly. And as you do that, I want to ask you, which of these is hotter, 32 degrees or 1 degree? Well, which is hotter now? 1 degree Celsius is hotter than 32 degrees Fahrenheit, even though it's a smaller number. And this is the reason I make this analogy is I want you to know the banks are doing this to you in a loan structure. A loan is a very expensive way to borrow money compared to a line. And so this is why. They amortize a loan on a schedule. And because they amortize it, they can front load all of the interest to the front of it. That big red arc, that's front loaded interest. So literally when you get a car loan, student loan, or mortgage loan, and you begin paying on it, the majority of your first payments are interest. And if you play that out and you buy a $200,000 house, you make a payment every month for 360 months, you'll still pay double what you bought the house for. Okay, that's a problem. But even bigger than that is this problem right here. The average American either sells the home or refinances every 56 months. If you take this out 56 months, this is how much you're paying for $13,000 of principal reduction on your mortgage. You're paying $54,200 in interest. Does that look like 6% to anybody else? No, because it's not. It's literally like over 300% interest because people stay in this cycle of refinance every 56 months. And then people will pay for their colleges from their home. They'll pay for their cars from their home, and they'll refinance it into the loan, which is the highest interest you could ever pay is in a loan structure. Even if you didn't refinance, you would still pay $232,000 in interest for that loan. It's incredibly high. So there's a way to fix it, and let's show you how. The first thing that you need to do is treat your cash differently. Make a different choice with it. It's what wealthy people have learned to do, and what I'm going to encourage you to start doing as well. The first choice you're going to make is bypass the checking account, put all of your income onto your debt, and then stop putting your money in the savings account where it gives you less than a 1 point in interest. If it starts with a point as an interest rate, here's a maximum. If it starts with a point, it's pointless. All right. Just trust me on that. So we're going to recover $2,000 of cash flow into your life by 2 simple steps. You're going to bypass your checking account, put it all onto your debt, and then you're going to stop savings in that account. Now, I do want you to have money set aside for an emergency. Like I've got my money set aside in my safe. It's next to my guns. If the zombie apocalypse happens, I'm down. I'm ready to go, right? But other than that, I don't save as a way for investment in a banking account. because my money is not doing anything for me in there. If you're putting it in an account, in a savings account or a 401k, and it's not even keeping up with inflation, the cost that things will cost, then it's doing you no good. So I put it all on my very high interest debt. And here's how I do that. You're going to take all of your income. How much of it? All of it. This is the only way this strategy works, and put it straight to your credit card. And you're literally going to slam $5,000 down on your credit card. Now, in this scenario, you still have $3,000 of expenses. So $5,000 goes in, the $2,000 of discretionary income sits on the line and works for you every day to reduce how much interest you're paying. And that's month one. All right, month two, you do it again. You slam it with $5,000. You know, maybe you get paid twice a month or 4 times a month or 8 times a month like me, whatever. And it slam it. And then you pay your bills from the credit card. You can pay a mortgage from a credit card. You can connect it to PayPal. You can get a balance transfer check and write checks if you need to. But the majority of costs in your life, you can swipe a card for. Let's say in month 3, you actually have an emergency. An emergency is a tire blows on your vehicle, and you've got to get $1,000 worth of tires. Well, can you use your credit card to do that? Yes, you can access the principal you've paid down because it's in a credit card. And you could not do that if you just slammed your mortgage with your savings. You couldn't access your mortgage to pay for those tires. That's why we use the line of credit. So 2 things you can use your line of credit for other than debt reduction are assets, to purchase assets, or emergencies. Those are the only 2 things in this scenario. Now, also month 3, month 4, you're going to notice a couple other things happen. When you hit your credit lines with multiple payments a month, your credit score is going to go up. They like that. And the other thing is the bank is going to give you a credit limit increase. They've never given me a savings increase, but they've given me lots of credit limit increases as I've used it better, and they give me more. It's an interesting thing. So just using that basic scenario, you pay off $13,000 of credit card debt in 6.5 months, slamming all of your debt, using all of your income 24/7 on your line. Very simple. It's math, not magic, right? So now you're going to take a $13,000 payment from that credit card and you're going to put it onto your mortgage. And here's what's going to happen. You put it down on your mortgage and then it gets paid down over the next 6.5 months. Well, how much does that cost you to reduce your mortgage by $13,000 in principal? It costs you $1,365 if you have a 21% mortgage, 21% line of credit. So let me make this clear. You're going to credit card your house. Yes, you are. Even at 21%, you take the math, $13,000 in principal payment, you times it by 0.21, that's the percentage rate. So can you get a credit card for less than 21%? Yes, of course you can. I like to underpromise and overdeliver. So even at 21%, you only pay $1,365 in interest to pay down $13,000 of principal on a line. On a loan, once again, it would take you 6 times as long, 8 times as long, 8 times as long, and it would cost you $54,000 in interest to pay down $13,000 in principal. So you get to choose. But every time you take a chunk from your line and chunk it towards your loan, you're going to cut off, in that scenario, you're going to cut off about 4 years off your mortgage. You're going to save yourself $54,000 in interest, and you're going to, you're going to accelerate how quickly you pay your debt down. You can literally pay off a 6-year car loan in 1 year. You can pay off a 30-year mortgage in 3 years simply by using your cash differently, converting it to a line and then applying that line to slam down the principal. It is a phenomenal strategy. Let's just play it out. Let's say that you do that 7 to 10 years later based on this, but it can be shorter than that. You pay off the mortgage. You totally pay off the house. Then you pay off the car, and then you have more cash flow. Well, with cash flow, wealthy people use cash as velocity. So you've got to get more debt. That's the problem. So let me establish something. There is good debt and there is bad debt. Bad debt costs you money. Good debt brings in cash flow. So I have about $1 million in debt right now in real estate that brings in cash flow that pays all my bills. I'm semi-retired at 34 because there's people out there paying down my mortgages and my rents, and those properties are not over leveraged. So that's a really good place to be. How did I get there? I learned some things. So here's one of the things I learned. When you pay down that home, you can leverage that home with a line of credit called a home equity line of credit. You can get an 80% home equity line of credit. Let's just call it, 160 grand. Buy 6 rentals with it. The average rental needs to produce at least $400 in cash flow for it to make sense for you. Add that to the bottom line of $3,800 in cash flow plus $2,400 in cash flow. Your lifestyle is still the same. Then you just apply that to a rental and you pay off one rental every 1.6 years with that cash flow. So just simply take your debt, divide it by your new cash flow, and that's how quickly you pay things off using this strategy. It's amazing. And it works. It's very, very cool. Then we just take that, and if you just play that out in the next 5, 6, 7 years, you have almost 10 grand a month coming in passively on paid for real estate. That's how wealthy build wealth, and that's how you can do it too. So that is a plan. It's a fantastic one. It's one I'm currently doing, and I understand for some of you guys, it could feel like this right now, and that's okay. It's a bit of a fire hose. It's meant to be that way because I want to refer to where I learned all of this and how you can access this education, how you can get this type of knowledge to apply into your life. You're not going to get it from a 45-minute webinar with me, but you can access it through what our company provides, which is an epic solution to the problem of the 40-40-40. We have education. That education is online. It teaches you real estate and wealth management from people that have done it. So we have over 52 full-day classes in real estate investment that teach short-term and long-term strategies, including velocity banking, including some of the tax strategies I shared with you, and then how to acquire real estate. Properties and how to acquire them are very simple. You have to find, fund, hold, and sell. That's what you need to do. You can find a property with a realtor and fund it with a bank and hold it for 30 years and then sell it to your kids. You can find it through a for sale by owner. You can fund it with retirement account money. You can hold it for 60 days and flip it for profit. There's many ways that you can do real estate, and we teach them all, plus how to begin to build wealth consistently. We have a phenomenal income system that is a business and is available to you within this program, and then a community of people. So we're nationwide. I'm based here in Salt Lake, but we have communities all around the nation where people gather on a weekly and monthly basis and talk about and go through this education, and it's phenomenal. So this is our product. We have classes on real estate investment, and they cover all topics real estate related. Fix and flip, short sales, lease options, apartment buildings, tax liens, lots of different things. One class that I learned that taught me how to raise all the money I've ever needed was from a lawyer named Matt Sorensen that teaches for us, and he teaches self-directed retirement accounts. And I learned these 2 questions in Matt's class, which have helped me raise over $4 million in capital to buy homes for cash. Very simply put, it's these 2 questions. Did you know you can invest in real estate with your retirement account? Most people don't know they can do that. You can. There's a self-direction process to be able to grow your retirement account tax-free or tax-deferred. For those of you guys that have ever heard of the presidential nominee, Mitt Romney, back in the day, he had over $30 million in his retirement account, and he didn't get that by funding $6,500 a year. He got that because he self-directed his retirement account into business opportunities, into real estate, and allows it to grow tax-free, and your kids can inherit it. What I ask of people, and I'm not asking any of you, I'm not raising anyone's funds, I'm just an investor, I ask them for a loan from their retirement account. I secure that loan in first place position on the home, which is where banks secure their loans. And so that person has a very secure rate of return on a property, and they love it. They get to grow their retirement accounts tax-free. And I learned that in that class right there on self-directed retirement accounts. I learned about velocity banking in that class right there. It's about 6 hours long. It's phenomenal information online 24/7, lifetime education. It includes over 52 full-day classes taught by our investor instructors. They're practitioners at what they do. We have over 20 of them, and they're experts in their arena. So the individual that teaches our lease option courses have been doing lease options for 37 years. Our fix and flip instructors have flipped over 200 homes in the last 3 years. Our short sale instructor, he was just here in my market talking about one specific strategy called Subject To, which blew my mind, that you can step into somebody's mortgage subject to their credit, and they'll sign the title of the home over to you through a seller finance. Then you can sell the home, you can rent the home, you can refinance it into your name because you have ownership. You can get a HELOC on it and buy more. It's amazing what's possible to do. And you just don't know what you don't know until someone tells you or teaches you. And this is the best system I've ever seen for teaching what we do, because it's constantly updated. Our multifamily classes, it's kind of like apartment buildings. And it's taught by Johnny Dessauer. He has over 4,000 units, makes over 100 grand a month, and teaches you how to do it. Notes, deeds, and liens. Tax liens are a phenomenal way to pick up property. You can get a guaranteed 12% rate of return, but the number 4 note buyer in the whole country teaches for us, and it's phenomenal. Commercial real estate and tons of bonus tracks for a total of 52 full-day classes in real estate that you get for a lifetime. We continue to add to it, update it, and continue to renew it. So it's now 52. It's phenomenal. With it, you also have some tools that you're going to need. Our software system is second to none in pulling data on properties in your neighborhood. I quickly pulled the pre-foreclosures in my neighborhood here in Salt Lake. There's over 16,600 people behind on their mortgage currently right now. There are plenty of deals out there if you know where to look and you know what knowledge to bring to those deals. So you've got to gain that knowledge. Someone's got to teach it to you. And you get to be mentored and facilitated through that knowledge. And the cool thing about us and what we do is that we're nationwide, over 20,000 students. We've been around 6.5 years. We're the best at what we teach. And we tell you what the investment is right up front, because you're an adult. I'm an adult. You'll know the full investment right now. It doesn't change. And you can determine that that's what you pay for it. What it can cost you out of pocket is literally nothing. With the investment that I made over $1.4 million. Here's one of my students. His name is Nate. He lives here in Salt Lake as well. He was a psychology professor that has a PhD, and he only made 30 grand a year. Now he consistently makes 30 grand a month, and he's killing it. This is one of his deals. This is my friend Dane. Dane was 22 years old when I met him. He's now 24, and he was a roofer like me. This was his very first deal, and that's the kind of profit he made. We literally have hundreds of success stories, mine included, but lots of students all around the country doing deals and making things happen. Our full investment, what you pay for this education, lifetime, 52 classes, is $19,994. That's the price. What it costs you is literally nothing out of pocket if you apply it in the tax strategy and the interest saving strategy, and what you can do with it is phenomenal. It includes everything that we've got. Coaching, all of it. There's not more to buy. One-time price point, $19,994 is phenomenal, right? With it, you get a ton of support. Webinars, group coaching, one-on-one coaching, education weeks, new classes updated. We support you with fix and flip house tours in your local community, where we have community members doing this, applying this education and making it happen. Monthly workshops and tons of other things that you could not even access all the support that we have for you. Here's a couple of ways where it literally can cost you nothing out of your pocket. What you pay is this, what it can cost you is zero, right? That's the difference. This education hasn't cost me a dime. And one of the reasons why is a full tax write-off against my current income. I actually got a tax refund when I purchased this education because I was running a remodeling company. I started flipping houses. I made 37 grand on my first flip, paid back my education, and I got to write it off in taxes too. The second one is if you ever do a deal with us, which you will do, if you plug in and you learn what we know and you come and do it with us, we teach you these formulas and you write into the formula at least a $20,000 profit. And that's your full, we're not talking about going to school at a college for the next 6 years and getting into $62,000 of debt. And on average, the college graduates come out making $38,000 a year. We're talking about investing in yourself in wealth knowledge taught by experts that will get you in a place where you're making checks like this very, very quickly. It's fantastic information. A 401k is a great way to fund your education. You can literally fund it from yourself by borrowing up to 50% of what you have in there, paying yourself back the 5% interest instead of the bank. If you got a car loan that you're paying interest on, then borrow from your 401k, take back your control of your life, get your education, start applying this, pay yourself back 5% instead of the bank making so much money on you, right? Apply the education and keep it rolling. You can use that 401k for your first deal to do the rehab or to do the fix and flip. Credit cards is actually how I was able to get the education with no money out of pocket. I had decent credit, above 680, and I applied for 3 cards. I bought the education. Just with the Velocity banking concept alone, you can literally pay that off in 10 months. If you get that at a 0% rate, which is what I did, 18 to 24 months, then bam, your education costs you nothing. You've got it for a lifetime and you're off and running. And if we can show you how to buy a home for 200 grand, trust me, we can show you how to get this education. This is one of my favorites. It's literally to take all of your debt, put it in a line, and then divide that by the new cash flow in your life and be able to pay it off super quickly. And here's how that would work. If you look at your different debts, if you look at your mortgage and your car and those things, then you have monthly costs on those things. If you take all of those expenses and you put it into one bucket, you can reduce your monthly cost by a significant amount, increase your cash flow, and then apply that to your new debt, including your education. You can pay it off in 3.5 years instead of 39. So those are just some strategies and ideas of how you can move forward, get this full investment, be able to achieve your dreams and what your goals are in real estate, recover cash flow through tax and interest strategies, build cash flow through real estate. And then we have a phenomenal business model. It is a system that personally has put over $825,000 now into my life. Yesterday, I got paid over 13 grand. It's a massively effective business nationwide that will plug you into and teach you and show you what we do, right? It's phenomenal. You're in business for yourself, but not by yourself. We have mastermind calls, presentations, and we'll plug you into what we do and how we do it. It's phenomenal. I use that word a lot. But here's what I want to end with, and I want to ask you this question. Would you please answer this for yourself? When I have more than enough time and money, I will what? What will you do? When I have more than enough time and money, I will what? I'm asking you that question, and I want you to answer for yourself, because I want to ask you, how long do you want that to be a question? I now find myself at the age of 34 in a place where I can travel, I can give back to the people that I choose to, and I can be with my family. I have 4 beautiful kids. This is why I do what I do. What I do is simple. I invest in real estate. I build massive and passive portfolios in real estate, and I teach people how. I run a business system that produces income weekly into my life. And why I do it's right here. How I do it is with this system, and I invite you to come and do it too, right? So the next step is to be able to get back with the person that connected you to this webinar so that you can get access to a more in-depth look at your numbers, how to specifically set up a plan so that you can, in the next 30, 60, and 90 days, put that plan in place and begin to invest in real estate, and then be able to give you a free velocity banking calculator. So with that, you guys, I appreciate you being on this short webinar to get some information about what we do and how we do it. I invite you to follow up with the person that connected you to this webinar. I look forward to seeing you at our future events, whether it be online or the ones that we have live in person. And with that, have a fantastic night. This is John O'Neill signing out. We'll talk to you guys later. Thanks so much.
What do you guys think of that information from John? Is that pretty powerful? How many of you learned something new? Now I'm gonna ditch this computer here because it's not one I know how to use. I'm gonna plug this one in. Hopefully my presentation will come up here in just a second. Not presentation, my spreadsheet. See if it works. There we go. You see that? Sort of, kind of. Okay, cool. So John started talking about velocity banking. Now, what did you guys learn? What? William, you raised your hand. You said, "Yeah, I learned something." Here, for the folks online.
No,
Oh, maybe you didn't raise your hand. You were just voluntold. What did you learn?
well, use the line of credit as opposed to a loan. I thought that was a very interesting concept.
How are lines different from loans? Did you guys learn something new there?
Yeah.
Hey, look, there's a bottle of water here. I'm going to steal it. It hasn't been opened yet. So how are lines different? What did you learn? What's that? What does that mean? Kenny's like, come on, you know what that means.
Yeah.
You what?
They're leveraging.
You're leveraging it again.
You make a payment to the line, that money becomes available again.
Yeah, how many of you have lines of credit? Now, what do we call, what is your line of credit called? What else? I mean, how many of you have these types of lines of credit?
Yeah.
You got these?
Yeah.
If you don't, write this down. Here you go, 4147 09. You getting this? For all of you online, 0985. Oh, okay.
Are some of them called checking accounts?
Some of them can be called checking accounts. Yeah, how many of you have an overdraft on your checking account? Is that a line of credit? Yep. Yeah, you bet. So there's all sorts of different lines of credit. We're going to talk tonight a little bit about how to use them. Because John shared something new, didn't he? He said you're going to put all of your income where? In your line of credit. Now, that's not what you're doing now, is it? Let me see if this looks familiar to you. You guys make your money now, and it goes into what? Your checking account, and then you disperse it out, and where does it go? Who knows? Darren's like, I don't know. Goes out into the abyss someplace. And it's gone. Poof. It's gone. You know, and then, well, let's just put some more in there. Same thing happens the next month. And it's gone. And we keep doing it over and over because we don't know any different. We've just been conditioned by the banks. The banks say, put your money in there. In fact, if you want to have a free checking account, what do they make you do? Direct deposit. Okay, hey, like don't even come in and use our services. We don't want to talk to you. Just send us your money. Right? And then not only just send us your money, but also if you want it to be free, then you have to have a savings account as well. And we're going to divert your money there. And if you have a little bit of means in your account, then we're going to put it into a money market account because that's paying like 0.8 if you're lucky. And what did we learn from John? If it starts with point? How many of you agree with that? Yeah. Well, hold on. Come on. Show me. How many of you agree to that? Yet how many of you, by show of, keep your hands up, how many of you have savings accounts? Yeah, all of you that have your hands up. It's pointless. You know that. You agree with that, yet you don't do anything to change it. Why not? Because we don't know what we don't know. It's like, well, we just do it again. Put the money in, send it out, poof, it's gone. Except for maybe, a couple hundred to a couple thousand. I don't know. The only difference is zeros, right? And or we just keep living paycheck to paycheck. That's most people. Okay, well, let's get back into the example. I want to run over some numbers. John sort of alluded to this. Let's run this again. Because I know when he showed the picture of the slide, how many of you feel like you're drinking from a fire hose? How many could relate to that? So we're going to review this again so that you have a chance to consume this information. Let's let it sink in a little bit. Whose computer is this, by the way? I'm going to throw it away. Just kidding. I'm just going to move it because it's in my way. All right. Well, let's come up here to John and Jane Q. Customer, and let's look at their situation. Here's somebody that they've got the average house price $200,000. Now, is that the average house price here in Riverside County? No. No. But are there across coast to coast? Is that the average house price? Yes. Sure. Can we buy houses here in California for $200,000? Yep. Sure, you can. You better believe you can. All right. Well, let's say that we've got a $5,000 a month income. This is net. Now, what does net mean?
After taxes.
After taxes, you got $5,000 income. What's the first bill that we pay? Mortgage or rent, whatever your situation is. Now, as we go through this, I want you to consider, some people think, well, this isn't going to work for me. I don't own a home. Don't jump to that conclusion because it's wrong. How many of you have debt that you'd like to get rid of? Okay, now that's nearly every hand in the room. Okay, so this will work for you. You just need to learn how to make it work for you. So let's say that we get $5,000. The first thing we pay is our payment of $1,200. If we're living within our means, is it possible that our other expenses only amount to $3,000, and so total we're spending $4,200? Is it possible that how much is left over at the end of the month? Is it possible that for our example here, that they might actually have $800? Yeah, you bet. Now, what did John teach us? A line of credit is a tool, but what creates velocity? Cash flow. Did you guys get that? So let's run an exercise and let's see how we can create and recapture cash flow. Because I'm not going to go out there, in this example, I'm not going to go out and create more income for you. In this example, $5,000, that's going to be your income. We may go recapture some cash flow, but we're going to not create new cash flow. Well, let's see what happens here. I wanted to look into what does this amortization really mean? Do you guys know what amortization is? What does that mean? I didn't know what the word was, and I used to be a lender. But I got fired. Well, I quit that job before I got fired because I never made any loans. Because I didn't believe in their product. Right? I'm not a very good employee. So that's why I've never worked for anybody except for myself since I graduated from college. I'm a horrible employee. I show up late, I leave early all the time. I don't adhere to a dress code. If it's not shorts and flip-flops, well, I'm not coming. Okay, so I like that. That works for me. But let's look at this. Let's look at amortization. Amortization simply means that if we take your finances, if we take your loan, guys, this is true for mortgages, this is true for cars, what stays the same? The first month to the end. Okay, so our payment, does it change over time? No, it stays the same. What changes over time? The amount of interest versus what? Principal. One of these is going to kind of look like this. Kind of, I said. I'm not an artist. Don't hold me to this. And the other one's going to kind of look like this. Okay? So this...
Yeah, almost.
Did I do that right?
You're paying 100% interest there in the beginning. But.
Yeah, I am. Like I said, it kind of looks like that. For a better example, look up a picture of an amortization graph. Let me show you numerically what this looks like. All right. You don't have to be an artist to make money in real estate. It's amazing. This is what this means numerically. You see, my payment's going to stay the same. My payment is $1,200 in this example. I pay my $1,200 mortgage payment. How much does my loan balance go down that first month? How much? $200. Almost, not even. You're being generous. Crystal, we don't get to 200 till month 3. Right? So our payment goes down almost $200. And the next month it goes from 198 to what? How much more does it go down the next month? Another $1 in the next month? Another $1 in the next month? Another $1 in the 5th month. Like, this is exciting. This one, the 5th month, you write home to mom about. Because why? Another $1. $1.01. That is 101 pennies. That's like right home to mom. Literally, do you realize that you could pick up the pennies in the street, pay them to your mortgage, and it would actually accelerate your mortgage more than amortization would? You realize that? Crazy, right? You find a quarter, you throw it in your ashtray. No, throw it on your mortgage. But no joke, guys, look at this. How long is it going to take for some of these guys? I mean, it only goes up 101 pennies, 102 pennies. It's crazy. I looked at this. This is when I figured out that I did not like how the loan system worked. Okay? I bought my first house 14 years ago. I learned this about a year ago. And I was really upset when I ran the numbers on my mortgage. Here's why. I had borrowed, remember back in the day when you could get a 100% loan, 80-20? Like if you had a Pulse, you could get a loan. And that was the qualification standard for this loan. The loan amount was $23,600, almost 24 grand. The rate was about 7.5%. People are like, oh, 7.5? That's so high. Really? Really? 14 years ago, was that a decent rate? I mean, by today's standard, it's high. But what did we have to do? What did we have to go through to get to today's standard? Who remembers 2008? Y'all remember that? Okay, so here's my payment, $165.42. After you have made that payment 156 times, you know exactly how much it is. Somebody do the math for me. Multiply $165.42 times 156 months, 13 years. $25,805 and how many cents? 52 cents. This is how much I have paid in 13 years. How much did I borrow? Almost $24,000. How much have I paid? Almost 26. Guess how much I still owed? $19,400. That's terrible. Thank you. Thank you for adding salt to my wound. You're a jerk. No, it is terrible, right? People are like, how in the heck is that 7.5%? I don't get it. Do the math. Like, I just paid $21,000 in interest. And that's 7.5%. Now, if you guys think this is bad, run the numbers on your mortgage. This is $24,000 almost. Your mortgage is like $240 on the first and another $180 on the second. You guys remember those days? So I looked at this and I said, you've got to be kidding me. Up until this point, I had just learned, yeah, leverage is great. Leverage is the way to go. Leverage, 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 leverage. Cash flow. This was cash flowing. $300 a month. Guess how much extra I would have had to pay in principal for this loan to be paid down to zero? How much extra do you think I would have to pay each month? Granted, I'm cash flowing $300 a month. That's above and beyond all my expenses. Now, guys, this is the second mortgage, is the only one I'm showing you. But the first mortgage, after the first and second are paid, it's positive $300. You follow me? After all expenses are paid, how much extra do you think I would have had to add to this and it would be paid off? $100 a month.
Paid it off in 11 years.
It would have been paid off in 11 years. What if I would have put $300 a month extra? Oh, wow, right? Should we do the math? I'm going to do the math. I've never done the math before, but you seemed to like that. So 5 years if I do that? So Darren already did the math. So if I would just put all my cash flow, it'll be paid off in 5 years.
Yep. And you would have only paid less than $5,000 in interest.
Less than $5,000 in interest. And I eliminate 25 years of mortgage. Ozzy.
And what would the income now be on the house?
I know. Just thank you. Why don't you just come up here and punch me in the face? Yeah, that thought's crossed my mind. Thank you, Ozzy. Remind me one day to find your point of pain, and I'll poke on that. Right? The income would go up because now I don't have that anymore. If I'm not paying $165, if that payment's gone, does that not increase my cash flow like $465? What if I then started adding that to the first mortgage? You guys starting to see how this works?
Yes.
Well, let's continue the example here. I wanted to look and see in this example, how long is it going to take me to reduce my balance $10,000? Because if you have a car loan, a student loan, a mortgage, you're on a fixed payment, this is what you're doing. How many of you guys right now in your situation are taking the extra cash flow, either the $300 here or the extra cash flow in your life? How many of you are applying your cash flow, i.e. your savings account? How many of you are putting that against your house right now or against your loan or your student loan? Nobody, because the bank never told you to do that. They said, let's have segregation of income, yes? What would happen though? See, I know the reason you don't do it. You don't do it for the same reason I didn't do it. If I put my $800 against my house every month, and then the transmission goes out in my car, what happens? I can't pay for it. I got to borrow money to pay for the transmission. It's the same reason you guys. Kenny was talking about a revolving door. You see, if I put that $800 against the loan, car loan or an auto loan, in some countries those are the same. Some states even. Not where I grew up, they're different. You have your car loan, your auto loan, your mortgage, your student loan. If we put the money in, imagine, like how many of you ever walked through a door that's shutting real quick? Like you got to get in before it hits you in the butt. You know what I'm talking about? Like those doors, boom, they hit you in the butt, you got to get in. That money goes in and that door closes. You can't get that money back out from the loan. It's not like you can go to US Bank and say, you know, for the last 6 months I've been overpaying, I've been giving you my extra income, $5,000. I've overpaid $3,000 right now. Could I get that back? So you guys are laughing because you know what I'm talking about. It's gone. You poof, it's gone. They're like, sir, we don't even have record of the $3,000. Can you prove that? The money's gone, and I realized, holy cow, this is nuts. But what about on my line of credit? Now, these come in many different forms. This happens to be a credit card line of credit. What are other types of lines of credit? Personal line of credit, a HELOC. You're speaking French. I don't know what that means. Home equity line of credit. Okay, what else? Business line of credit. Personal line of credit. Secured line of credit. Kenny's line of credit. You can use them all. Okay? Well, let's look at this and see, because on a line of credit, as we use this, we charge it up. Boom. If I pay $10,000 on this tomorrow, what's available to me tomorrow? I put the money in, and I can pull it right back out. Put it in, pull it out. It's a revolving door. You with me? Okay, cool. Well, let's look at this. I wanted to see how could I use the bank's money, because lines of credit, whose money is that? It's not yours, it's the bank's. Seeing this situation here, seeing how like this is the plight that we've signed up for, and congratulations, you just bought a new truck. Guess what? Uh-huh. Gotcha. Okay, you paid cash for it? Okay, good. No financing. That's good then. All right. Now, I looked at this and said, if I wanted to pay this loan down $10,000, how long would that take? 10 grand. Is that pretty significant on paying down your mortgage? Yep. In this case, it's 5%. So let's see. Tell me when, tell me when to stop. We start with an original balance of 200 grand. Tell me when we're down to 190. How many payments? Tell me when. Oh, we're not there yet. Okay. Tell me when. We close? Right here? Okay, so I'm $2.34 off. Is that close enough? How many payments is that? 46. Somebody do the math for me. My payment amount, I need you to do 46 months times $1,200.39. How much have I made in mortgage payments? $55,217.94. Okay, that's how much I paid in almost 4 years just to live in my house because the bank gave me a loan. Love that bank, really need that bank. How much did my loan balance go down? $10,000. Okay, I don't know how to term this anything different. What is interest? Another word for interest could be what? Profit, right? Could it be profit? If you're investing your money and you're getting a return, could that be profit? So, how much bank profit was earned in less than 4 years? 45,217.94. Holy cow, guys. This is 6%. Sherry, you're a mathematician. You teach math. No, you do. You teach math. You're part of the public education system, Sherry. I'm not saying you're the problem, but your math doesn't work. Because when I went to school, this is not common, maybe this is Common Core, I don't know. Maybe Common Core math, whoa, there's a table here. Maybe Common Core math, that is 6%. But I learned a different kind of math. Did you guys learn different math? 45 grand. I said, this is nuts. And people are like, yeah, but Kendall, I'm not going to stay in the house for 30 years anyway. Right. You see the point? If you refinance or move every 5 to 7 years, what do people do? They start over that clock. I spoke with a lady last night over in Orange County. She's been in her house for about 20 years. I said, what did you originally pay for the house? Oh, $174,000 in Orange County. That's pretty good. What do you owe on it now? $480. Scratching my head. You buy it for like $175, whatever. I can't remember exactly what she told me. But it was less than 180 grand. Now she owes 480. Who sees the problem here? She's been there 20 years. She still has 29 years left. Same house. Who sees a problem? So I started running her numbers last night, and I said, let's suppose you go get a line of credit for 21%. How many of you would borrow money from your line of credit at 21% to pay off 6% debt? Does that make any sense, William? No, it doesn't. Giovanni, does it make any sense? No. Is it James? Does it make sense? How about you, Rick?
Maybe.
Maybe. Ooh. Ooh. We have an optimist in the room. What's your name? Is it Leslie? Is that right? I can't see worth beans. I'm blind as a bat. Leslie, what does it make sense? Celeste, what's your name? I don't see a name tag. Ryan. Doesn't make sense. Would you ever do that? No. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to transform Ryan into a politician tonight. You know what a politician is? Flip-flopper. Give me 5 minutes. I'm going to come back to you. I'm going to come back to all of you. I'm going to find out that you guys should be politicians. Let's say I get a 21% line of credit. Again, they come in many forms, yes? Can I get on my online banking and can I transfer from my personal line of credit into my checking account? Yes. How about my business line of credit? My secured line of credit? My credit card? Are there ways to transfer money from your credit card to your checking account? You better believe there are. Okay? Well, let's just do an advance of $10,000. I wanted to see how long is it going to take me if I were to just do an advance using the bank's money to pay the bank, and I did that over and over. I threw out everything I'd been taught about financing. I threw it out the window and said, what if there's a better way? How many of you are at least open to creating that possibility that there could be a better way? And you don't know it. I mean, and here's the worst part. You're going to learn it from somebody tonight who graduated with a degree in zoology. Those would be my qualifications tonight. Yep. Zoology. So if we were to do this over and over, let's look at what happens. Because right now, if you just take it out for 30 years, how much do you pay in interest? 232 grand. So in other words, you pay for 2 and you get to keep 1. Not messed up. So let's use the bank's money to pay the bank. Now, do I have cash flow in this situation? I do. I have $800 cash flow. I'm going to use that money and I'm going to pay down that line. Watch what would happen. This is an illustration of if I were to do that over and over and over. You see the number up there that says 30 years? This is what it goes to if I use the bank's money. What does that say? I just knocked off 17.8 years of a mortgage using 21% money to pay off 6. Okay, Mr. Politician, you running for office? Would you now use 21% money to pay off 6?
I'll do what you wanted to go ahead and go do. Put everything you got on the card.
Yeah.
So then, but looking long term, you're not paying hardly anything.
You're not paying anything, are you? See, this $10,000 for the first go round. Watch this. That $10,000, simple interest, 21%. What's 10 grand times 21% in like regular math? Not bank math. That's $2,100, yeah? Over the course of a year. An entire year. If I kept it maxed out, it'd be $2,100 in interest. Let's go out 4 years. Times 4. I want to go compare it to the bank. I'm at $8,400, yes? I haven't paid it down, but $45,000 versus $8,400 in interest. Have I accomplished the same result? Oh my gosh. Now let's go recapture cash flow, guys. Pillar 1, what was the number 1 expense in life? Taxes. So if you go in, if you're paying too much in taxes and you're getting a tax refund at the end of the year, if you get a refund, what does that mean? You overpaid. You gave the government an interest-free loan. Well, let's go recapture that back. Let's watch classes from Mark Kohler. Let's learn how to go in and adjust. You know how if you have a W-2 job, you go into work and you can adjust your W-9 or your W-4. let's do the WD-40, okay? Let's adjust that. So I don't know what it's called. You adjust your WD-40 and you say, look, stop taking out so much taxes. I want to keep my money now. How many of you get tax refunds? To the tune of how much? What was your refund, Celeste? 1,800. Okay, who else? How much? 3,000. I called my cousin. He makes about this much money. I said, how much are you getting back? He says, $13,000. I'm like, that means you're overpaying $1,100 a month in taxes. He's like, yeah, but it's my savings account. Nice. There's better ways to save. Let's cut that in half. Let's say it's $6,000. If we go in and adjust that, does that increase our income or reduce our expenses? Increases our income. What does just $500 extra do? Takes you from 12.2 years down to 8.9. Holy cow, we're just recovering cash flow. What if we learned how to use this to pay off, you know how John said we could pay off our cars? The average household in California has how many car loans? 2. What's the average car loan payment? How much? $400. Who would agree? Is that too high for some or is that about right? Okay, so if we first go in and we learn how to pay off our car loans, what does that increase? What does that do for us? Increases our cash flow. Now, I'm going to try to simulate this in here. It's not going to be exactly accurate, but let's say if we recapture that cash flow, what happens to our payments? Our living expenses go what? Down by $800. Well, what's that going to do? You're now down to 6.2 years. How many of you are looking at this saying, no, this can't work. This sounds too good to be true? Well, it's math, not magic. And I want to hear from some folks that are they're implementing this in her life right now. Crystal saw this about 1.5 years ago. Maybe a year, I don't know how long it was. Whenever she saw it, she had just bought her new home. Her and her husband were in a house. They were 24 years old at the time, 22 at the time. You know what? 22, 24, it's way younger than I was when I bought my first house. So they saw this principle and they're like, man, maybe this stuff works. They came in and they ran their numbers. You guys want to hear what they were? Put your hands together. Bring her to the front of the room. Let's hear her story. Tell us what you did, Crystal.
So when we first started, our initial numbers at that time, we were going to pay off our house in 7 years. And when we found out about...
Don't gloss over that.
Sorry.
Let that sit for a second. 7 years. You guys hear that? That means they took off 23 years of mortgage payments.
We had 20, well, because were already in the house
You're already
for 2
in
years.
it for 2 years,
Yeah.
okay.
So it went from 28 to 7.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Went from 28 years. They took off 21 years. Is that pretty good?
Yes.
Does it get better? You suppose she stopped there? No.
No.
She went out and continued to use her education. And what did you start doing?
We got some cash flow in properties and increased our income with rentals.
And now you've recalculated those numbers because now you have how many doors?
6 plus an Airbnb.
6 doors plus an Airbnb, nightly rentals. With your new cash flow, if you apply all that cash flow to your property, because that's the way the system works, now, what would it be? How long would you pay off the house?
2.6 years.
You guys hear that? 2.6 years. 2.6 years.
I'd say 3 because we're kind of bad at it. Just kidding.
Oh, you know what? Let's double it. Let's call it 5.
Okay.
Is that still amazing?
That's an expensive Star Destroyer.
It was a fun one.
How much are you going to save in interest?
Oh, maybe 100. Well, now close to $200,000 in interest. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me put this into perspective. Crystal came in and she did what I did. She came all in. She says, I want access to everything. Her and her husband bought the entire package, which was an investment of how much?
$19.97.
So nearly $20,000, right? $20,000. In interest, they won't pay to the bank nearly $200,000. Somebody, I can't do math. But if I could, I think that's close to 1,000% ROI.
Good stuff.
Is that okay? Now, that must be the only strategy you've ever implemented, right? You're not making money anywhere else. Just that.
Why? Why would I?
Holy cow, guys. You start to see how this works? All of a sudden, we start thinking, well, 20 grand, I can't afford 20 grand. How many of you drove here in a car tonight that you paid more than 20 grand for? Right? Now, how did you pay for that car? Did you just stroke a check? Or did you use the bank's money? See, we've got ways to help you get funding. Give it up for Crystal. That's awesome. She's like, I'm not sure whether to go or stay. But this is just one strategy that we're talking about. There's others. There's others where Darren went out and bought rental properties that cash flowed him, no money out of pocket. Is that crazy? That is awesome. When you can buy cash flowing properties around the country. Matt went out, he took his education, he went out and bought a duplex. You're renting that out now, aren't you? Are you not?
Yes.
Okay, what kind of cash flow does that generate for you?
$1,000 a month.
$1,000 a month, and you got how much equity?
About 100,000.
That's a 500% return on investment. There's other people in this room that said, I want to get started, but the challenge is I don't have the money. And I said, okay, I get that. That's a real concern. I understand. Let me ask you folks, if we could remove the obstacle of money, how many of you would at least entertain the idea of getting started? Right? Well, can I share a little something what happened, Rick? Could I share some? It was pretty exciting today. Rick and his beautiful wife, Fran, they were in our office today, and they're like, man, we want to get started, but how do we pay for this? And Kevin put forth this proposal. Well, what if we could show you a way to pay for it on the bank's money at 0% interest? How many would be open to that as a possibility? Yeah. That sounds pretty amazing, right? Mm-hmm. Do credit cards do 0%? Yep. Yeah, for anywhere from 12 to 21 months. So we have this company that we work with. It's not part of us. It's not Renatus. It's a company that we work with. You know this company, yes? So it's an affiliated company that we work with. They've got an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, a company called Seed Capital. And Rick went on, and all he did was pull his credit report through a portal. Well, when you pull your credit report through the portal, it's linked over to Seed. And before you ever apply for funding, because you've not applied for funding yet, but he learned that he's pre-qualified before he ever applies for $80,000 to $100,000. 0%. Is that amazing? He can use 20 to get his education. He could use the other 80 and lend it to Darren at 12%. Is he making a spread? Oh, yeah. Is he making money on the bank's money? Yep. Oh, yeah. Then his wife, we put in Fran's information. She's got the highest credit scores I've ever seen. My credit score has never had, like, there's an 8 in it, but it's usually on, like, the end digit. It doesn't start with 8. You know, it's usually, at one point it was 478. Right? Now, hers started with 8. I'm like, dang, did the same thing. Pre-qualified for 40 to 50,000. Don't count yourself out before you ever give yourself an opportunity to be in. That's all I'm asking. Okay? That's all I'm asking. We're almost out of time. We started a few minutes late. Then Whirlwind, you know, he starts talking, and then I start talking. We're going to wrap it up, but before we do, you really deserve to hear from one more couple. You really deserve to hear their story, because tonight you guys are kind of here. You're evaluating us at the beginning of your journey, and you're like, I'm not sure if this is really going to work. Am I right? That's kind of where you guys were a couple weeks ago. You saw this. We're getting you funding all at 0%. That's amazing. But you're kind of looking saying, is this really going to work? Well, you've heard my story. You've heard Darren's stories, but we've been in the game for a little while. What if we just kind of have somebody that's right in the middle? Somebody that's been with us a few years, got her feet wet, but is having success. Should we hear their story? Put your hands together and bring to the front of the room Kim and Ken Evans. Because their story is amazing.
You're good. Go ahead.
Rick and Fran, you're about to hear your future story.
I guess the mic's on. So, about, I don't know, 5, 6 years ago, we were, I was working in aerospace as an aerospace engineer, and I still do that. But back then I was working 60 to 80 hours a week. And if you've ever worked that many hours, pretty much you drive 2 hours and sleep 6 hours and try to get some food in there too. But at that time, we were also going backwards, anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000 a month, and we were almost $100,000 in consumer debt. At that time, we also said we got to do some different things. So one of the things I did is I found I could make a little bit more money by going in the contracting industry. But what that also did is freed up our 401k. And we started investing with Kendall and Darren as partnership, and we did that for about 7 homes, and then we were thinking, well, why can't we just do this on our own? And so Kim started taking Kendall and Darren to lunch and picking their brains, because that's what my dad always taught me to do, just pick people's brains. And they kind of said, well, if you want to learn what we learned, you might want to just go to the school that we went to. And so Kim said, well, what's that? And they told us exactly what they told you tonight. And from there, we currently, and Kendall will probably say I'm glossing over stuff, but currently we have 22 doors in rental, 21 doors in rentals, and I don't only work 40 hours a week, and that's about all I have.
Yeah, that's our story. So we have 5 children. I was stay-at-home. I am / a stay-at-home mom. We only have 1 left at home now. So it was kind of the last few years our kids have been leaving and growing up. But it's amazing. I mean, I am so grateful that we had the conversations that we had, that we took the steps, right? Even when it was scary, even when it was like, I know it works. I see that it works, but is it going to work for me, right? And it does, and it did, and we love it. We love the community. We love the results that we've gotten, and we're so glad we took the leap. So.
What's kind of the combined results? What's the life change for you guys?
So, you mean as far as income or?
What's the net change in your
Yeah, we could have, I could go step by step and tell you a lot of different things. Between taxes, between, income that we've received, equity in properties, and deals that we've done like flips and things like that has been over 900, just over, we just crested 900,000 through the system,
you guys hear
through
that?
the Renata system. I'll get back to you on that. He said, when will we have all our properties paid off? And we have a lot of moving parts right now. So I'm working on that.
That's okay.
Yeah, we're putting it into place, because that's an important thing too. It's not like you may wave a magic wand and everything just lines up, right? Any new strategy takes a little bit of implementation time. Sometimes it's fast, sometimes it's longer. And we just purchased a primary residence and closed a few months ago, and we're going to be implementing with a HELOC, but we have to let it season. Anyway, there's a lot of moving parts, and that's okay, right? But 15 of our rentals will be paid off in less than 7 years if we do nothing, but that's going to accelerate. So,
Did you guys hear
so
that?
that part's cool.
Give it up. That's amazing. Did you hear the transformation? Where did they start? They started, Ken was working 60, 80 hours a week, $100,000 in consumer debt, and going backwards $3,000 to $4,000 a month. Compare that to where you are. You might be in the same place, I don't know. But if your situation's better or worse, do you think that if you just plugged in, like we've done, it's kind of like Legos. You're just building Legos. You've got an instruction manual of, hey, this piece goes here. This one goes here. This financing component is taken care of by this. It's kind of like Legos. Just figure out where the pieces go and then move forward in action. Ladies and gentlemen, we're not a high-pressure sales group. There is no sales pitch. You've heard the pitch. My invitation to you tonight is if you're if you know where you stand, I'm going to invite you to move forward in action. The way you're going to move forward in action is I know every single person in the room has one of these. I want you to pull out your cell phone. Okay? Now, I know some of you are going to resist me on this right now. It's amazing how this happens. You have it in the car, you say? Well, you better run grab it. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. You don't need to do that. So, pull out your cell phone, and you're going to send a text to the person who invited you here. And you're going to let them know where you stand. You're going to say, hey, look, I'm either a 3, a 2, or a 1. And number 3 says, thanks, but no thanks. This isn't what I'm looking for. You know, I'm not sure real estate's for me. That's a number 3. That's okay. And we wish you well in whatever venture you choose. Number 2 says, you know what? I'm interested, but I've got some questions. Primarily, I know the biggest question, what do you suppose that is? How are we going to pay for it? Well, I would encourage you guys, just do a soft credit pull. Doesn't affect your credit. You can pull it. It's a starting point. We just start. I mean, when we did that with you, Joanna, you didn't even know, Joanna.
Joanna.
Okay, I can't remember if there's an A on the end. I'm like, that didn't sound right. So when we did that with you, you didn't know where you were going to get started, did you? All you knew is you wanted to move forward in action. We got our funding all at 0% credit cards. Same thing with you folks today. Same thing with many other students. Now, does that work for everybody? No. Some of us have worse credit. That's okay, but it's a starting point. If that doesn't work, then we'll continue to search out other options. So pull out your phone and let people know where do you stand. A number 3 says, I'm not interested. A 2, hey, I'm interested and I've got some questions. A number 1, I'm in. Just find me the money. Like I've seen it. I want to be part of this. I want to participate in the mastermind you're speaking of. By the way, our next mastermind starts at the end of this month. It's going to have the oversight by 6 or 7 of us. Combined total, thousands of properties. You want to be a part of that. You deserve to be a part of that. If you're saying, yeah, but I don't have the money to be a part of it, again, don't let that be the excuse. Every person in this room could get started for as little as $400 if they had to. I don't care where you get started. I just want you to move forward in action. So pull out your phone. Mine's been vibrating. I hope some of you are texting me. You should be. Good. There we go. But pull out your phone, text the person who invited you down here, and let them know where do you stand. I'm a 3, I'm a 2, or a 1, and schedule a strategy session. Now, I know some of you want to say, hey, let's take the next step. I want to see more. How many of you would like to come to one of our properties and see how we actually do this stuff? Like, come kick the tires of a property. This Saturday, we're going to be in Carlsbad. Do you have the address, Kevin? I do. Because what you guys don't realize is this group here tonight, I have been in front of, this is my 3rd group this week. You guys bring everything full circle. We had about 30 down in Carlsbad, 25 over in Orange County, and about 30 here tonight. So roughly 90 people have seen this information this week. It's not just this little group. That group of 90, we're going to gather together again this Saturday at a property in Carlsbad. This is a property that our friend Brett, he's one of our students, he purchased this property. It's got an ARV of $1 million. You know what ARV stands for? After repair value, $1 million. He walked into it with no bank financing and very little out of pocket. He's going to turn it into a vacation rental. He had one, just sold it. It was already booked out through June and July. He had to email everyone and say, sorry, we sold that unit, but we have this one. Before he's even done doing renovations, it's fully booked all of June and all of July. You guys want to learn how to do that? Come join us on Saturday. The address is, get your phone out, write this down.
2205 Cameo, C-A-M-E-O Road. That's in Carlsbad, 92008. So I'll repeat that. 2205 Cameo, C-A-M-E-O Road, Carlsbad, 92008, 9 o'clock to 10:30.
We're not going to hang out with you all day. We love you, but we don't want to be with you all day. You see, guys, when I'm done with you, I got to get back to the whole reason of why I do this business. That's my why. You all have your own reason why. This one's mine. If your why doesn't make you cry, it's not big enough. That's the reality. I want to get home to my girls. This is why I work hard every day, right? They're my everything. You have your own reason. So put some thought into this decision and understand what Tony Robbins says. It's in your moments of decision your destiny is made. You guys are embarking on an amazing journey, as is everyone that's getting started. No, Ozzy, this isn't a test. I know you're still in. He sent me a message. He's like, I'm still a 1. Let's do this. All right? It's amazing. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's your moments of decision. In your moments of decision, your destiny is made. Take it for what it's worth. This literally can